Let's be brutally honest. America has a sandwich obsession. It's the ultimate grab-and-go meal, the lunch counter hero, and the solution to every "what should we eat" argument. But here's the thing. Not all sandwich shops are created equal. Some craft beautiful, fresh ingredient masterpieces that make you close your eyes and savor every bite. Others serve up sad, processed failures wrapped in stale bread that leave you questioning your life choices. So today, we're doing what desperately needs to be done. We're ranking 12 of the most prominent sandwich chains in America from absolute worst to best. This ranking isn't based on marketing budgets, childhood nostalgia, or how many locations. We're talking real taste, fresh ingredients, quality sourcing, and the kind of customer satisfaction that makes you a regular instead of a regretful one time. So, subscribe and grab some napkins because your lunch plans will be completely rearranged. Blimpy takes last place as a sandwich shop that, got stuck in 1985 and never quite found its way out. Founded way back in 1964 in Hoboken, New Jersey, Blimpy once competed directly with Subway during the submarine sandwich boom of the 70s and 80s. At their peak, they had over 2,000 locations, but thanks to corporate mismanagement and a stubborn refusal to modernize, they now have fewer than 200 stores. The bread at Blimpy has the personality of wet newspaper. No, really, their sub-rolls are dense, flavorless, and have about the same structural integrity as a house built on quicksand. Take one bite, and the whole thing falls apart in your hands like a sandwich house of cards. The Italian roll tastes, I swear, like it was made from the same recipe they used when disco was popular. The meat selection. It resembles a factory-grade deli counter stocked entirely from industrial suppliers. Their turkey breast has that uniform pressed appearance that suggests it never saw the inside of an actual turkey. The ham is aggressively salty with an artificial smoke flavor that tastes like someone just poured liquid smoke directly onto processed pork paste. What's particularly frustrating about Blimpy is the complete lack of evolution. While other chains adapted to changing consumer preferences, added fresh ingredients and, improved their recipes, Blimpy seems content to serve the exact same processed sandwiches they've been making for decades. Their menu is a time capsule and not in a charming, nostalgic way. The chain that once challenged Subway for submarine sandwich supremacy is now just a fading memory with locations that feel abandoned, even when they're open. Arby's lands at number 11 despite building their entire identity around, having the meats. Founded in 1964 by brothers Forrest and Leroy Raffle in Boardman, Ohio, the name actually comes from the initials RB, Raffle Brothers. Not, as many believe, for roast beef. They really did revolutionize fast food by focusing on roast beef when everyone else was serving burgers, growing to over 1,000 locations by the 1980s. But quantity doesn't equal quality when those meats are more processed than a celebrity Instagram photo. The signature roast beef isn't carved from actual roasts. It's a processed meat product that's been formed, flavored, and artificially colored to look like roast beef. The texture is somehow both mushy and rubbery, like they took real beef, ground it up, added chemicals, then pressed it back into vaguely beef-like shapes. The artificial smoke flavoring is so aggressive, it tastes like they soaked the meat in liquid smoke overnight. Real smoked beef has subtle, complex flavors. Arby's roast beef? It tastes like someone dumped barbecue sauce flavoring into ground meat paste. It's really the uncanny valley of deli meats, close enough to beef to be recognizable, but artificial enough to be unsettling. Their buns are just basic hamburger buns that get soggy within minutes of contact with the meat juices. The sesame seed bun adds nothing but extra carbs and, honestly, a false sense of authenticity. The curly fries are actually decent, which makes the meat problem even more tragic. They clearly know how to make good food when they want to. Subway claims the number 10 spot as the most dramatic fall from grace in sandwich history. Started in 1965 by 17-year-old Fred Duca and Dr. Peter Buck in Bridgeport, Connecticut, it began as Pete's Super Submarines. By the 1990s, Subway had become the world's largest sandwich chain with their Eat Fresh campaign, eventually reaching over 44,000 locations globally at their peak. The bread tastes like it was shipped from a factory 3 states away. Frozen solid, then reheated in what can only be described as a glorified easy-bake oven. The Italian herbs and cheese, it contains more Italian chemicals than actual herbs. Remember when Subway had to remove a carbonamide from their bread because it was literally the same? Chemical used in yoga mats, that's not a marketing scandal. That's a food safety wake-up call. The meat crisis is where things get truly depressing. Their turkey looks like it was pressed in a hydraulic machine until all texture and flavor were squeezed out. The ham has that rainbow sheen that screams sodium nitrate special. Multiple lawsuits claiming their tuna contains no actual tuna DNA tells you everything about quality control. The vegetables tell the story of Subway's decline. They sit in metal containers, looking like they've survived a flood. Wilted lettuce, mealy tomatoes, and onions with that translucent quality, suggesting they've been there since the Clinton administration. Subway's downfall is a masterclass in how to destroy a brand through cost-cutting. They prioritized franchisee profits over food quality, and customers noticed. What was once America's go-to sandwich shop is now the place you go when everything else is closed and you're desperately hungry. Jimmy John's ranks 9th as a chain that honestly prioritizes delivery speed over, well, everything else edible. Founded back in 1983 by Jimmy John Lead in Charleston, Illinois, the company actually started with a $25,000 loan from his father. They built their reputation on freaky fast delivery and managed to grow to over 2,600 locations. Inspire Brands acquired the chain in 2019 for over $2 billion, but they've somehow maintained their speed-obsessed culture throughout the expansion. The French bread, I mean, it looks impressive, but really, it just tastes like white bread with, let's say, delusions of grandeur. It's dense, chewy, and honestly has about as much flavor as the paper wrapper it comes in. The crust does provide some textural contrast, but the interior is just bland and a bit gummy. Their protein selection, well, it appears mass-produced and frankly, uniformly bland. Their turkey, ham and roast beef all have that, uniform factory-pressed appearance. The turkey breast is particularly problematic, so processed and uniform it actually looks molded. The texture is bouncy and artificial, almost like eating meat-flavored rubber. What's most frustrating is the complete lack of menu evolution. While competitors adapted to changing tastes and improved their recipes, Jimmy John's still serves the exact same basic sandwiches they made in the 1980s. Their innovation, if you can call it that, peaked with adding sprouts. The gourmet positioning is honestly a bit insulting. There's nothing gourmet about processed lunch meat on basic bread with iceberg lettuce. The delivery speed is genuinely impressive, sure, but it really doesn't matter how fast your sandwich arrives if it's not worth eating when it gets there. Which claims the 8th spot as a chain with great concepts but honestly pretty mediocre execution. Founded back in 2003 in Dallas, Texas, the chain grew rapidly through the 2000s and 2010s thanks to their unique red Sharpie ordering system and creative menu, reaching over 500 locations before recent contractions, mostly due to franchisee struggles. The ordering system with red Sharpies and brown bags is, undeniably clever and interactive. Unfortunately, all this creative energy went into the ordering process instead of, well, the food preparation. The bread selection looks impressive on paper, but in reality, fails in execution. Wheat bread tastes like white bread with a bit of brown food coloring, while the so-called artisan breads taste honestly mass-produced. The meat quality varies wildly between locations, which really suggests poor quality control. Some serve decent turkey and ham, but others offer, gas station grade processed meat. The roast beef consistency depends entirely on which franchise owner actually cares about quality that day. The real problem, though, is the price to value ratio. They charge premium prices, $12 to $15, for sandwiches that are maybe just slightly above average. The creative menu items often sound better than they taste. kind of like someone thought more ingredients equals a better sandwich without really considering if the flavors work together. Firehouse Subs lands at 7th place with great branding, but honestly, flawed execution. Founded in 1994 by brothers Robin and Chris Sorensen in Jacksonville, Florida, both volunteer firefighters, the chain built their identity around first responder themes and steamed sandwiches. Acquired by Restaurant Brands International in 2021, they've grown to over 1,000 locations while still maintaining their firefighter aesthetic. The steaming process creates more problems than it solves. While it does melt cheese and warms the ingredients, it also makes the bread soggy and the vegetables, well, limp. Sub rolls start out decent but end up mushy after steaming. Everything becomes uniformly warm and soft, eliminating any sort of textural contrast. And the sodium content is frankly aggressive. Meats, cheese, even the vegetables seem soaked in salt water. After eating here, you'll drink water like you just ran through the desert. It's like they confused flavor enhancement with sodium overload. The cheese becomes a gooey mess when steamed into submission, overwhelming other flavors. Provolone turns into cheese soup, while cheddar becomes orange sauce, coating everything in artificial dairy flavor. The firefighter theme is charming and their charitable work admirable, but you're paying for sandwiches, not stories. Unfortunately, the sandwich doesn't live up to the brand promise. Poddy ranks 6th as a chain with tremendous potential undermined by execution inconsistency. Started in 1977 as an antique shop in Chicago that served sandwiches, founder Peter Hastings eventually focused entirely on food. After going public in 2013, Potbelly expanded nationwide but struggled with maintaining quality across franchised locations. The toasted sandwich concept brilliantly differentiates them from competitors. When executed properly, toasting creates this lovely textural contrast and really enhances the flavors. Bread develops crispy exteriors while staying tender inside, and cheese melts to creamy perfection. At their best locations, ingredients are noticeably fresh and flavorful. Turkey actually tastes like turkey. Ham has good complexity, and vegetables maintain crunch after toasting. The Italian sandwich with hot peppers and oil creates genuinely satisfying flavor combinations. The fatal flaw is wildly inconsistent quality between locations and visits. One day it delivers perfectly toasted sandwiches with fresh ingredients. The next serves barely warmed food with wilted vegetables and improperly melted cheese. The signature milkshakes and cookies are consistently good, which makes the sandwich inconsistency even more frustrating. They clearly have quality control systems that work for some menu items, but not others. Panera earns 5th place for industry leadership in ingredient transparency and clean eating initiatives. Founded in 1987 as St. Louis Bread Company in Boston, they rebranded as Panera in 1997 and pioneered the fast casual movement. Their clean food campaign and no list of artificial ingredients removed set industry standards. The bread selection represents Panera's strongest asset. Sourdough has genuine tang and texture, whole grain options taste authentic, and those seasonal breads really show creativity and flavor development. Fresh baked bread makes an immediately noticeable difference in sandwich quality. The ingredient transparency is genuinely impressive, publishing detailed no lists, providing comprehensive nutritional information and sourcing responsibly. This transparency level remains rare in chain restaurants and honestly deserves recognition. However, execution often falls short of promise. Sandwiches feel committee designed, technically competent, but lacking soul. Turkey and ham are higher quality than most chains, but still taste like deli meat rather than freshly carved proteins. Vegetables are fresh, but often understated and frankly bland. The pricing creates value problems. Premium prices of $12 to $15 demand restaurant-quality ingredients and preparation. Panera delivers better ingredients, but not always better preparation, leaving customers feeling like they're paying for promises rather than performance. The soup and salad combinations are often better values than the standalone sandwiches. The soups are genuinely good, and the salads feature fresh ingredients and creative combinations. But, this is supposed to be a sandwich ranking, and Panera's sandwiches are more admirable than delicious. Capriotti's claims fourth place by mastering specialization over settings.